What if we could improve the closing percentage? So whereas now we're at 10%, we improved to 20%.
The age old question is, can you sell anything to anyone? The answer is no. But in this video, Jim and I are going to talk about what you can do, which is improve your sales closing rate and what it looks like to stay people focused and people centered as you develop your sales strategy. Guys, I'm so excited for this video. Stay tuned and let's rethink sales.
How you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
Jim, I always hear people asking this question. Can you really sell anything to anyone? I remember a friend told me a story. They said they were selling water filters to people, and they were genuinely helping people filter better water. They did so well at it that they bought out their friend's supply and put it in their garage and sold all of those as well. And so the question a lot of people say, well, I sell this really tough product in this really tough market, or well, I sell this. Is
Mhm.
that true, or are people just looking to buy? And if you know how to sell, then you know how to sell.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I would say this. I don't think it's possible. Matter of fact, I know it's not possible to sell anything to anybody. It's like
Mhm.
the old, it's you can't sell ice cubes to the Eskimos, even though they
Yeah.
say he could or
Yes.
she could, but it's
Right.
just really not true. So in order for you to sell something, and let's first of all let's back up and let's remember that selling is nothing more than a transfer of enthusiasm. It's
Yeah,
my
that's really deep.
enthusiasm
Yeah.
transferred to the client. And so I'm selling this product. I'm very enthusiastic about it. I know it like the back of my hand. I love the product. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to transfer my enthusiasm for that product to the client while I'm matching their expectations and needs for the product. But in order for me to sell the product, they have to have some degree of interest and some degree of
Yeah.
desire for the product. And,
And you have
for
to know
example,
the product, right? If
oh,
I
well,
said,
yeah,
"Oh,
but
Jim,
still,
sell me this, sell me
yeah.
this."
But still, let's back up. I want to make sure we're clear. You said, is it really possible to sell anything to anybody? No, it's really not, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's for sale that I have no interest in. I'm just not
Yes.
interested. Like, I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. Let's say you said, I have this house for sale.
Hmm.
And you said to me, Jim, I want to sell you this house. And you
Yeah.
knew the house, knew everything about it, had all the enthusiasm, all the energy, everything. But I don't want to buy another house. And you would say, well, I'm going to try anyways. Well, you can try anyways, but I don't want to buy another house.
Right.
Now, it may be possible that this is a $300,000 house, and you go through
Hmm.
the whole process, and it turns out that it's worth 300. You can sell it to me for 100,000. I may say, even though I don't want a house, I have a house, happy with my house. I may buy that house on speculation. But the fact is
Hmm.
that typically speaking, the house is worth a certain amount of money. Is it going to sell for a little less than that? Could be. Is it enough to
Yes.
cause a guy like me to buy the house? No, it's not. If it
Right.
was really,
Right.
really cheap, I would buy it and just turn it real fast. But that's really not
Mhm.
what we're talking about here. So, no, to answer
Right.
your question, long answer, short question, you cannot sell anything to anybody. But if you have a product, okay, and let's
Hmm.
let's let's just think about this and dig into it deeply. If you have a product and you know the product, like you said, front to back, top to bottom, inside out,
Hmm.
and you have a lot of enthusiasm for the product, the next step is you have to have somebody to talk to. Having somebody to talk to does not necessarily mean you're going to sell the product. There's a lot of things that enter into
Right.
this. But here's the deal: if you have 100 people and you
Hmm.
talk to 100 people about this product, there's going to be what is called a closing percentage. And depending on the
Yes.
product, that closing percentage could be 10%, it could be 50%. It depends on the product. But the fact is, there is going to be a closing percentage. And so once you understand that closing percentage, then you can determine, in order for me to make a living, I have to sell 10 of these things a month.
Right.
So therefore, my closing percentage is 50%. I got to talk to 20 clients a month. And that's really the
Hmm.
key ingredient here when you're talking about formula based selling is, once you
Yes.
figure out what the numbers are, then you have to figure out how many clients you need to get in front of. To that same point, if I'm selling 10 percent,
Hmm.
and I want to sell 10 of these products, well, then I have to talk to 100 people. Do you see the difference?
Right.
So on
Yes.
the one
Yeah.
example, I got to talk to 100 people. On the other example, I'm closing 50%. I got to talk to um, 20 people. Okay. So
Yeah.
knowing the closing percentage and knowing The numbers per se is really really important. The second aspect of this thing is you know per our conversations on and on and on, Think and Grow Rich.
Mhm.
Is it possible to improve the closing percentage? There's an
Mm.
interesting thought, right? What if we could improve the closing percentage? So whereas now we're at 10%, we improve it to 20%. You see,
Mhm.
now I have to talk to 50 people to get those same 10
Yeah.
sales. Or conversely, I could talk to the 100 because I've gotten good at that, but my closing percentage went up. So I am now selling 20. So my income per se went up. It doubled. Okay. So
Mhm.
that's probably the most effective way to increase sales is to increase my closing percentage, to improve my closing percentage, excuse me. How do I
Yeah,
do that?
that's good.
Well, it's all
Yeah.
about having a process. So, is there a process that gets me 10%? Yes. So now I say, okay, I'm going to dig deeper. I got my 10%, pretty consistent, doing it, for a few months now. I'm going to go talk to somebody who is smarter than me. Where am I going with this? Expert counsel. My same play every time. So I
Mm.
go to this expert who is in fact
Mhm.
closing 50%. It's like, holy, this guy's the rock star. Maybe we
Yeah.
do some inquiring. I say, well, these water filters, to your point.
Mhm.
Is there anybody in the United States of America that's selling more than 10%? Yeah, there's this guy in Texas that's
Mhm.
selling 50%. Really?
Right.
We're not competitive because he's in Texas, I'm in Pennsylvania.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I may just jump on an airplane, depending on the profit margins of one. I may jump on an airplane, go down there and
Yeah.
have an interview with this fella and find out
Right.
what exactly he's doing. So now I do that. That's my Mr. Hamilton I've talked about many, many times. And I go to this guy, I have or girl, excuse me, I go to this girl, I have a conversation, and I find out
Mhm.
that she's doing these 10 things. And I say, wow, I'm not doing those 10 things. And I find that there's some things that I'm doing that she's not doing. And I said, well, geez, maybe I better stop doing some of those things. And so I developed this better formula, this better closing,
Mm.
this better, sorry, better
Mhm.
sales formula that creates a better closing percentage. And so I now have, after talking to her, I take that number from 10 to 20%. So I literally have just doubled my income. And I keep working that for a couple months. And with using her philosophy, I actually get it immediately to 20%. Then I get it to 30%. So now I'm at a
Mhm.
solid 30%, but she's still at 50%. So you know what? I'm making so much more money. Now I can afford to jump on that airplane again and go back down and have another
Right.
conversation. So, well, here's what I've done. Here's where I'm at. And so what else should I be doing? And that's what I do with Mr. Hamilton. I kept going back, kept going back, kept going back, and I got more ideas. And so that's how I would go about doing this. And maybe we don't have to go back to the
Mhm.
person in Texas. Maybe we find out there's a person.
Right.
I'm in Irwin. Maybe there's a person in Harrisburg. We're still not competitors, so I
Right.
can drive to Harrisburg. It's a
Yeah.
3 4 hour drive. So I drive down, get up early in the morning, drive down, have the meeting, and then drive back home. Very inexpensive, but I've got my additional list. And so,
Mhm.
is it possible to close 50% of the people I talk to? Well, I always ask myself this question, no matter what it is. It could be a certain, cholesterol level, it could be a certain bank account level, it could be whatever it is, a certain number of cars per month. Has anybody ever done this? Has anybody done what I want to do? Like, for example, my massive moonshot goal was 122 healthy, happy,
Mhm.
terrific, relaxing years. Well, it
Yeah.
has been done. I was talking to a fellow about this today, and I said this. I said, there's 8 billion people on the planet today. How many
Mhm.
of the 8 billion do you think are going to live to be 122 healthy, happy, terrific, relaxing years? And we talked about that for a little bit. And it's probably literally out of the 8 billion people that are on the planet today, it might be a dozen, right? Might
Mhm.
be 20. So it's literally to live to be 122 healthy, happy, terrific years is 1 in a billion chance. Probability states I probably won't do that. But what I said to my friend, I said, can't I at least try? And I think that's what people miss.
Mhm.
So maybe
Mhm.
you can't close 50%, but can't you at least try? Can't you talk to that person that's closing 50% and at least try? And maybe you're just not as good as that person. Maybe you don't have the talent because there is some people are, in fact, more talented than others. And so maybe you're not going to get to 50%, but if you do what this lady
Mhm.
tells you to do, can you get
Yeah.
it to 25%? I say yes. And we keep working and working and working. And maybe we never get it to 50, but let's not forget that we were at 10 and now we're at 35,
Right.
right? And so in
Yeah.
essence, that I can either have an easier job where I was talking to 100 to get my 10. Now
Mhm.
I got to talk to 30 to get my 10. roughly.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's just the job becomes easier. Or I say, I really do want to get that new car. I really do want to get that bigger house. I really do want to go on a dream vacation. So I'm just going to keep talking to 100. I'm going to get my 35. But let's not forget that we were selling 10. Now we're selling 35.
Right. Yeah.
We were working super hard. Now we're not working as hard. So even though we're not at the 50%, excuse me, look what we've accomplished. So when I talk about 122, I realize it's a moonshot. I realize that it's a crazy, nutsy goal, but it has been done. And I know for a fact that Kane Tanaka, who was the oldest living person uh,
Mhm.
in our time, in recent times, excuse me, she just died at 119 recently, probably a couple months
Yeah.
ago, 119. So I'll take that. And again, it's
Yeah.
one in a billion, but she did do it. She did do it. So therefore it can be done. And so if I go for 122 or if I go for 119, maybe I do fall short at 95. Guess what though? At 95, I'm 15 years beyond the
Mhm.
average. And,
Yeah.
and I, the question I always ask you, Derek, is if you did have an extra 15 years based on the things we're doing today, how many churches could you build? How many books could you write? How many meetings could you have? How many vacations could you go on? How many trips with your children? What could you do with that 15 years? How many books could you
Right.
write? Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's all the same kind of a thing. I'm working on a different goal, but
Mhm.
your goal was to get your closing percentage to 50%. My goal was
Right.
122. But the fact
Yeah.
is, it's the same idea. So I
Mhm.
got to get around people for my goal right now. I've got to get around people who are successful agers.
Mhm.
Okay. Stop
Mhm.
and think about that. So let's talk to I'm very intrigued. Every time I find somebody that's 100 years old, I want to talk to them. I want to talk to them. Hey,
Yes.
what'd you do? How'd you do
Yes.
it? Tell me more. And I keep doing that. And it's like I get little tidbits of ideas. And, you know, that's where the avocado a day comes into play. It sounds kind of goofy. But so back to your question, can I sell anything to anybody? The answer to that question is no. Can I improve my close percentage? The answer to that question is yes.